What's up guys, it's Loop Juice back with another Dead by Daylight video, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. If you're watching this video, it is possible that you've never seen me before and you are kind of just trying to find sources of venting for the most recent changes in Dead by Daylight, and that's kind of what this video is. I wanted to talk about, just as someone who's been playing Killer for a little over 2 years now, well, the game for over 2 years. So I'm going to break down just not the entire update. This is not a yap session about the entire patch notes. You can find that somewhere else. I wanted to just talk about, at least in my opinion, why not only the changes presented here are an issue, but specifically how the developers thought that this was a good idea to begin with. So let's get into it. So if you guys have not heard somehow, but if you haven't, in the newest PTB, we did get access to a new killer and a new survivor, which are both really cool, but that is not what I'm talking about today. Instead, I'm going to be talking about the tunneling reduction update and the slugging reduction updates that they are testing out in the new PTB. So there's a multitude of changes here, but I just wanted to talk about the past half year that Dead by Daylight has had and the changes it's had. How much just straight garbage and miscommunication we've been given at a point where we had the peak player base just a few months ago when Springtrap was released. So if anything, the devs should be trying to keep a consistent flow of quality updates and content for those new players who found the game through the Springtrap chapter. Now, me personally, I think that they've done quite the opposite. There's been a lot of issues that have come up and just a lot of things that clearly people playing the game want to be resolved or want to be changed, and the developers kind of just push them aside. Just recently, we got The Walking Dead as well, and that was a complete mess, a complete disaster. So many features that were just completely overlooked with little to no foresight, and I'm just concerned because seeing an update like The Walking Dead and thinking, okay, this is a big mistake, and honestly, it shouldn't happen. But I think the developers should learn from this, right? That's something that a lot of people could think. But in this new update, it feels like they're doubling down on just not listening to anyone, not taking into consideration the people who are, spending the most time playing this game, not the highest percentage of the player base, not the 50% of players who have less than 100 hours in the game, but the players who are spending the most time playing the game. I think that is really what they need to focus on for at least the next couple of updates, because even with their promise, and this included, even with their promise that they gave, they pushed back a chapter that was supposed to come out in November to, I believe, January, which is crazy. It's licensed too, so they were willing to make a change that large to promise us that they were going to start taking more time and consideration to their development, and this update is anything but that. So there's a lot of changes here. So one of the things that just genuinely pisses me off more than anything else, and honestly, they could get away with a lot of these changes. Some of them I still think need to be toned down, especially the whole 30 seconds of 10% haste. I mean, that's just insane, right? Like, honestly, it's stupid. And endurance too. Kind of just, I mean, think about this, just real quick, think about this. How many times have you played against a killer that they got a 1k, and the only reason they got a 1k was because they attacked someone off of hook when all the exit gates were powered, and that's it? right? The fact that they have endurance for 30 seconds is crazy. But anyways, what I wanted to focus on more than anything else was these two clauses right here. These two lines right here. For tunneling penalties, it states that when a survivor dies to a hook action or mori before 6 total hook states, the remaining survivors gain a 25% repair speed bonus. 25% repair speed bonus. Now, if you are newer to the game or you just don't really know or care about percentages, 25% is absurd. That I believe is stronger than like the speed you repair at with a toolbox, if not comparable to it. And that is for all survivors. All survivors. So in this case, 3 survivors, because this is only when a survivor dies. But the thing is that this is a game that, especially competitively, is kind of designed so that if you are the killer and you get someone out early, it's a viable strategy because the 3v1 is supposed to then kind of go to the killer side. And that's because getting a survivor, to die before the gens are completed is difficult, especially if you're playing against good survivors. So that's kind of a strategy that's been solidified in the game, and it's just out the window with this. I mean, if anything, if survivors really take advantage of it, this could just make it so it's easier for them to complete generators than it was before, even without that 4th person. And the second clause is even worse. It says, when a survivor that was previously hooked is killed or sacrificed, the killer loses the ability to block, damage, or regress generators by any means. So, I mean, this is just insane. Like, so if you hook someone and then you hook them again and they die, you can't do anything when it comes to generators. If you are, to say, playing a mobility killer, let's say you're playing Billy, and you down someone, you down a different person, you down that guy again, and you're in chase with someone else, and that guy, you just find him again, and you're like, okay, well, I found you again, I'm gonna get you out of the game. And say you're at like 3 generators or something, or maybe even 2. All of a sudden, because you decided to just exercise an ability that you've always been able to use and has been part of the game since its beginning and has even been endorsed by some killer designs. I mean, let's push aside for a second playing a meta killer. Think about a killer like the Twins, right? If you want to win with the Twins, you have to slug. The Twins is so bad if you don't slug. Like, they're just not only are they not fun, but they're just not good without using that strategy. Think about Oni. When you pick someone up, it cancels your power, which means you can't get any more value out of your power. Meaning that anti-slugging is going to go against that. Now, all of that aside, no matter who you're playing, if you just happen to get a good start and sacrifice someone, you don't even have to be tunneling them. There are so many scenarios where you just end up finding the same survivor that you hooked last, and you're able to sacrifice them. And it just doesn't make sense that if you do that, then you basically just lose the game. Like, if you have 2 or less generators left, there's no way you can really stop that, because even if you try and camp a 3 gen, you can't take chase, and from there, you're just dealing with, gen tapping, where a survivor can tap a gen, do some progress, run away, be safe, tap a gen, do some progress, run away, be safe, and they will eventually win. There is no opportunity to reverse this, and if you really look at all these changes, even with the unique hook bonuses and, their quote-unquote incentives, none of this is worth it. None of this is worth it. And honestly, I didn't think they could make it worse, but then I figured out about the perk changes that they decided on. Now, this was not something that they really mentioned. They mentioned adjustments, and what I thought by adjustments was mostly survivor perks, where it's like, borrow time, instead of increasing the endurance for as long, blah blah blah. I thought they were just gonna adjust stuff, kind of like what they do with add-ons, where they make it so that more of an add-on is base kit, but then they nerf the add-on, whatever. But no. Instead, we got a few good changes, like Hope getting nerfed. I think this perk is very strong, and I think it deserved to get nerfed. Maybe, something like friendly competition that is never used. It's good to get a buff. And a few reworks that make sense. But more than anything else, they actually killed killer perks. They basically nerfed every viable regression perk in the entirety of the killer side. And you can read the screen right now. But some of the most mind-boggling things to me was how they decided to nerf Eruption. This perk is useless at 5%. It's completely useless. No one's gonna run Eruption anymore. And I think it was very balanced at 10%. I think it was a perk that usually was strong, but if you didn't use it correctly, it also could kind of just not get much value. I think it was definitely balanced. They buffed a Ruin, which again, it's a hex. If you're playing against sweaty survivors, it doesn't matter. They nerfed leverage. This is actually a nerf because this perk is made to stop people from healing at hooks, and by reducing the healing speed reduction, that makes it so that they can heal at the hooks faster. It doesn't matter the duration. No one cares about that. They made some stupid changes here. They nerfed Pop Goes the Weasel. Again, a perk that is really not used much anymore anyways, besides by newer players or on select killers, because it's not as good as it used to be. And 15%, I mean, that's just borderline getting to the point where this just kind of sucks. Oppression doesn't matter, this still sucks, but probably the most frustrating change of all, this perk, Pain Residence. This perk was designed with anti-tunneling in mind. When they changed it from having unlimited tokens to having 4 tokens, they made it so that the first time you hook a survivor, the first time you get this effect, not when you hook, not the first 4 survivors you hook, individual unique survivors. You have to get full value out of this perk, you have to hook all 4 survivors on Scourge hooks. This perk was honestly probably the best designed gen regression perk in the game. It's easy to use, but also kind of hard to make work. It gets a good amount of slowdown and regression, but it's not broken. And the best thing at all that no one was complaining about was the fact that it disincentivized tunneling, at least in the fact that you couldn't get a lot of value if you tunneled someone out with this perk. And they nerfed it to the ground to 12%. Now, the difference between 20% and 12%, I can't tell you when it comes to, what the generator would look like. But I can tell you that this perk is significantly worse. And for no good reason. Absolutely no good reason. So I think at the end of the day, my main point here is that if this system goes live with a lot of these features, especially the perk changes, if we're watching this video, obviously you're probably angry, and anyone comment down below, voice your opinion, honestly. I know that stuff will probably change for the better in the live release, but we have to tell behavior that just even them saying that at some point they thought this was okay is just not okay, because at this point there's going to be an update that is this degree of game breaking and meta, imbalancing, and that just actually comes to live servers, and at that point I don't think the game can really recover. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. The full patch notes are in the description if you haven't read them already, and I am going to be posting videos like normal. If you watch this video, I'm super small creator, but I wanted to make this video just because I thought that I wanted to show that no matter who is playing this game, no one should be okay with an update like this. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.